I know. Welcome to Chaos and Coffee. My name is Justin Brown, and your comments drive the chaos. Just kidding. We already are chaotic. Episode 24. We have our regulars today with us, Darth Tux and Vertex Draco. I, as always, am your host, Justin Brown. I'm not hungover today. Yay.
That's always a plus.
Didn't drink last night, so feeling pretty good today. I got coffee in me, focused, ready.
Yeah, I've been cutting I've been cutting beer out of my sort of regular diet because I'll drink other things, but I don't want to drink too often. I made that mistake. I ended up getting like a bottle of Jim Beam or something, and just one moment I got through like 1/3 of it, and I was like talking in Discord, and the next thing I know, I'd got through 2/3 of it and just passed out. So like, well, I'm not drinking beer. That's one plus, but now I've got like a bigger problem. So I've just been cutting it all out, like just having a long break from drinking altogether. You're just going about that sober life.
Well, I've always said, everything in moderation.
Including moderation.
It's actually healthy to have a shot of whiskey or a glass of wine or something of that nature a day. It's when you start drinking too much of it that it becomes an issue.
That's the thing, like, it's sort of ingrained in my personality to take whatever I do to the extreme. As much as I try and find balance and take the middle path and sort of like look at everything from every point of view and stuff, I just tend to just take whatever I do to the extreme, and I find it difficult to do anything in moderation, to be honest. It's why I'm Slaneshi, I guess.
I have the same issue. I have the same issue.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. Yeah, I'm either in top gear or just in neutral.
Yep, me too.
I guess I would represent the moderate camp then.
You
know.
Yeah.
I have done things with accident.
You have to be careful at what you take on, be it a side project or a long-term goal. When you take everything to the extremes, because you can really hurt yourself in more ways than one.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
There again, when I decided to pick up the guitar, it was one of the things I had to consider. And I do have to keep reminding myself all the time that I'm better than I think I am, considering the length of time I've been playing.
Yeah, it's hard to
have jump in here and be, a year from now and sitting down and laying down some, Steve Vai licks and shit. It takes time.
I tend to just go by intuition. Whatever I feel like is the right thing to do at the time, I'll just do it. As long as I actually listen, it doesn't fail me. But a lot of the times I just tend to ignore it. So I go out of my way to try and listen to my intuition and not just ignore it. Easier said than done.
That's always good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never steers me wrong.
Yep.
As much as I might try and resist at the time.
Well, it's taken me to some bizarre places in life, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, it will. Oh, it does. It makes life more interesting.
Yeah, life is pretty fun. It's pretty, yeah. I'm still trying to think about just if I'm moderate or extreme on things. Like I said, if you aim for moderation, if you slip, you're going to go into one of those extremes anyways.
I think it depends on the topic and subject.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there are going to be things out there that you just don't give a crap about, and there's going to be those that you feel passionate about. And that's everybody. So to label oneself as a moderate or an extreme or whatever is okay. Well, that can apply to all of us.
Yeah. I think a large
way.
I think a large bulk of the population is in the middle somewhere. I think it's just we're sold extremes, you know, or the options get presented to us are on the extreme ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like I can have a really healthy meal, or I can have a really shitty meal. Where's my middle ground? You know, biscuits and gravy. That's where it's at. Healthy and horrible for you. I believe in experimentation.
Yeah, I had to introduce the Canadians to biscuits and gravy.
They didn't have them?
That was the biggest shock of my life, walking into a Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
No.
And paying $2 for 2 pieces of chicken and an order of French fries. I asked them, I said, can I get a side of gravy and a biscuit? They looked at me funny and said, like a tea biscuit? I said, no.
Oh, that's right. I think it's called
Your KFC, right? This is Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they said, what? Kentucky? What's that mean? I said, it's what the K stands for in KFC.
It used to, yeah. Dang it. What did hey Drake, what do you guys call
so I went to this place called an Egg and I. And I had went online and downloaded and printed out the recipe for buttermilk biscuits and homemade Southern gravy.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them to the restaurant owner for 2 breakfasts because I wanted to come in there and get some biscuits and gravy. Damn it! So the next thing I knew, there were biscuits and gravy everywhere.
It just caught on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course it did, man. It's biscuits and gravy, man.
That's true.
That's a Southern breakfast mainstay, dude.
It really is.
When Drago comes through here, I'll have Cheryl making some biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, there's a few things that like I know they haven't. Draco, what do you guys call? I think they call it like sauce or some shit like that. They don't call it gravy.
Yeah, it's a white sauce. Well, it's similar to a white sauce.
Well, yeah, gravy is just, I don't know, gravy is gravy. I don't
know. You have gravy? Okay, good. Right on.
No, we have gravy.
Well, yeah, but
gravy's
but
like
your
brown.
gravies,
I don't know.
your gravies are brown, right?
That's what gravy is as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. When we're talking about biscuits and gravy, we're talking about a white gravy that's made in a slightly different fashion.
White gravy?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a completely alien.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's good.
I've never even heard of it though.
It's basically you take hot oil or grease, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you mix some flour in it to make a roux, which is just like a thick paste, right? And then you add milk to that to thin it out. And then as it cooks, it gets thicker, and you cook it to the consistency you want.
I think we'd just call that an abomination.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
It's pretty good, dude. It's good. I guess country gravy would be the way we'd say it.
And then a biscuit would be more like a homemade roll.
Flakier,
flakier. Yeah, a lot flakier. Or layered and
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, food.
And then you just you cut or break the biscuit in half, put some butter on it, cover it with gravy, eat that shit.
You could put honey on the biscuits too. I mean, you could put jam on the biscuits. You can put a lot of stuff on the biscuits.
Yeah, you can put a sausage, egg, and cheese in them. Eat them like a sandwich. Do a lot with biscuits.
Okay, well, now everybody's hungry. You know, I can't wait for my wife to get home with food. Oh man. Okay, so on the first topic of today, since we've hit our conversational lull at the right time, about 8 to 10 minutes, humans experience a conversational lull. It doesn't matter where you're at; it happens.
And Tony, we've been talking for like what, half an hour before this, we're without any breaks. Like, I think we should just start. Yeah, I know we shouldn't go meta, but we should just start as soon as we're
Sure.
as soon as
We'll
we're
try
loaded.
that. Next Sunday, if I can get everybody here on time before, there'll be no before then. There'll be no before. It'll just be a how you guys doing? I think the half hour before wakes us up. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
On to the first topic of discussion to avoid meta at this point. We're allowed to talk about anything, even meta shit. This is a crazy conversation. Welcome to it. Anybody watching in the future, buy Dogecoin. Okay, so today's first topic, federal marijuana policy in the United States. Chuck, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so apparently the federal government wants to crack down on all the states who have made marijuana legal, especially the ones that made it recreational, by cutting off funding and shit to these states.
God damn it. I always think that the states themselves should be able to have control over stuff like this, and it's good for tourism as well. You'll get people going into the country and spending money in that particular state, so there's going to be outside money coming in. It's a good thing, really.
It's a huge taxable market.
Yeah, they can tax it as long as they don't tax it too much and make it stupidly expensive. Then I don't see a problem with them taxing it. It'll be a good source of income. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot, to be honest. But I'm always the sort of guy that thinks states should have.
We fought a war in this country once already over the federal government overstepping its authority with the states. Right. You know, I mean, our Civil War, we want to talk about, the freeing of the slaves and all that. Yeah, that came about because of that. What we don't talk about really was what truly started that. Right? Was that the federal government was imposing huge taxes and levies on cotton and other imports from the South, making it almost impossible for these people to stay in business. Slavery was a must because of this system. Right, so they rebelled. They were being the federal government was overstepping its authority and taking the states' rights away from them.
Yeah,
it didn't have anything to do with slavery. More so that those states were standing up for their rights, their constitutionally given rights.
I mean, the Federalist anti-Federalist conflict, it's still very strong in America,
especially in the South.
Yeah, or in this case, in states that are predominantly in the West, with marijuana legislation having been passed. I would. You did the comparison to the Civil War, and so my brain's still boggling with that. I'm trying to align, a response to that when I want to kind of stay on the marijuana topic rather than be Civil War.
Whenever you have power, though, you think that power progressively gets more and more authoritarian. So they'll want to slowly start to increase the amount of power that they have. So when you have something like the Fed that has control over all of these different states, that they're going to want to constantly sort of, wave their wand around and their authority to all these different states. So
traditionally,
I mean, outside of the states' rights, we have to remember it was the people that voted these marijuana laws into effect. These, the people wanted recreational use of marijuana.
Yeah.
So this is a direct violation to the wishes of we the people.
Yeah.
Okay, so from my perspective, the way I'm seeing it is generally Republicans are the anti-federalist or power to the states. Like that's the traditional Republican platform. is power to the states, right? And Democrats traditionally, again, not so much in the last 6 months, but traditionally, Democrats are for a strong centralized government that has lots of regulation, right? So if we saw Democrats being like, oh, this marijuana thing is getting out of control, we need to regulate it at the federal level, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, right? But like for a power to the states general attorney like Jeff Sessions from Alabama, right, saying that they need to regulate marijuana or prohibit marijuana in state instances, right, especially in the middle of an opioid crisis, is absurd. I mean, it harkens back to the marijuana is the devil's weed, and it makes you want to dance around with black people.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen that movie, Reefer Madness, man. That was a documentary.
Yeah, I remember.
They showed that in schools. They used to show that in schools.
Some of the adverts, they were unbelievable to me that they were to actually put this out into public. Like so much propaganda and outright lies, and the reasons behind it all just seem so sort of idiotic, and it's just Jesus Christ. Like, I'm more of the individualist type, and I'd rather power not be centralized into one sort of specific place. I'd rather states have more power over this sort of thing, because the states know what their people want more than the Fed do, and the Fed will make sort of generalized, sweeping sort of regulations to apply to all of the states, and that's not really appropriate for specific areas. Like, they go to these particular states because, I don't know, they like the laws, they like the place, like it sort of fits in with their personality. And I think that if you sort of normalize all of the states, then you don't have any sort of variation. And what makes America really great will sort of start to fade away into sort of conformity to a sort of one way of living, which I really don't agree with.
Yeah, I believe centralized government or centralized authority, centralized power at all, is a very beyond the moral implications, like of a homogenous society emerging or lack of diversity, often the violence against the other, whatever they deem it to be, right? All those and the moral implications, all that aside, like even if we were to say, okay, the evil empire has its uses, right? Okay, great. It's efficient at processing resources in colonized countries, or whatever the hell we can possibly put as the silver lining around a strong federal government. Inevitably, structurally, the centralized model is very vulnerable to attack, to internal corruption or decay. So it's better to be decentralized as a species, almost to the point of individual sovereignty or power, in my opinion, at some point once humans are ready for it.
It's a single point of failure, like to sort of associate it with a computer security point of view. Like, it's a single point of failure, and having a single point of failure really isn't a good idea, because then if that falls, if it gets corrupted, if anything goes wrong, the whole thing just falls down, basically. So, but you need authority.
Beholden to the federal government now, that when, not if, but when the federal government falls, the states are not going to be able to govern themselves.
Yeah, because they've not.
Well, some states
used to that. Really,
some states. There's two republics in our country.
States. California would probably rejoice. So would Texas.
Yeah, there's two states.
Yeah, those two will do well.
There's two states in this union that and I can almost probably say, beyond my opinion, like most people will agree, that California and Texas will survive any type of whatever economic collapse or whatever. The thing is, almost instantly, like if America collapsed, it would reform around like Dallas, Texas, or Sacramento, California. It's just DC, Washington D.C. wouldn't necessarily be the capital anymore.
We would end up with 3 different countries: one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, and Texas. Yeah,
and Texas would be like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all the way probably up to Kansas.
But it'd be complete chaos, though. There'd be a massive breakdown for a period of time.
There would be for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that what will form after is going to be better. Really, unless you're actually prepared for it, it might just be a reactionary thing. And when you just react to something just off the cuff, then it's not always efficient as if you were to plan and
I agree.
Yeah,
but people have plans. Like, or I would say that plans are in place for. Okay, there's a documentary, or not a documentary. We use that term a lot nowadays, don't we? There's a YouTube video, you know.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube video, but very, very accurate YouTube video about, I believe it's called "The Day the Dollar Dies." Okay, and it goes into essentially China has a bunch of U.S. Treasury bonds, and they keep buying our debt. We have like $15 trillion in debt, and they try to sell it like, we gotta make sure we have enough debt this year to sell. Like what? Like they're acting like it's a supply, like lumber. You know, like we gotta make sure we have enough debt to sell this year. And if China just sold our debt, it would. If they just dumped those bonds onto the market, it could sink us, like economically, without a trigger being pulled, without a missile being launched. China could, with a stroke of a pen, send our dollar into a spiral. So in this scenario, you know, there's runs on the bank. People try to get all their money out of the bank before everything sinks. Then people go to the stores and the dollar isn't worth anything, so you can't even buy shit at the store to get ready for the impending chaos. And then, yeah, we're talking about the worst case scenario of civil unrest.
Yeah, really, you've pretty much put your or you're putting the future of your country in another country's hand that you don't even have very good relationships with.
Did it years ago. We are in the hand, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, it must be said, man, that Russia tried to influence the election for Donald Trump. He's the man in office, and he's refusing to make Russia accountable for meddling in our elections. So it's obvious to me that Russia got their guy in office.
Definitely.
So you want to talk about us being at the hands of a hostile power?
Yeah. Russia, the traditional enemies, which again are
I'm
just
sorry to
big
any
countries.
Trump supporters out there, but if you can't see that, I feel sorry for you.
I think they see it. I think a lot of Trump supporters can see that he's a Manchurian candidate at this point. If they can't, then
for me, I don't really have an opinion on it because until I actually get enough information to make a informed decision, I won't even have an opinion on it. Really, like
it's not really going to affect you until your government gets tired of him.
They did. Their
government cuts off all trade to the U.S. or he cuts off all trade because your prime minister said something that offended him or something.
We handle it so idiotically, especially like seeing as though that we're leaving Europe. Our biggest potential trade ally is America, and regardless of what your president does or says, for us to start trying to burn those bridges just because they're getting emotional about the things that it does, like it's idiotic. It's bad for the economy.
The thing is, though, they won't have to do anything. He's the one that's been cutting trade with other nations.
Yeah, because they don't play ball a lot of the times. Like he's a businessman. He's trying to look out for the best interests of America, regardless of what any of the others.
He's concerned with sucking as many taxpayer dollars into his own pockets by vacationing at his goddamn resorts and properties all over the fucking place. Well, Mar-a-Lago, his winter White House, cost Americans millions of dollars a day every time that fat slime ball is there.
Isn't he supposed to have taxes, though?
That's what he cares about. The rest of the world, he doesn't give a shit.
He's supposed to have drop taxes.
He's too damn dumb to tie his own shoes. He has no idea of the repercussions of his actions when he goes and cutting trade with these other nations.
He signed a
unless
tax
he can
deal
make millions off of it, he doesn't care. Money is his god.
That's true. Okay, so, the Trump thing, right? It's oh my goodness. I'm not trying to step between you two like a referee here. Okay, I definitely am on one side of this argument. I just want to give the guy
a fair shake.
I try so hard to give this guy a fair shake, right? he had a business meeting the other day. I say business meeting. He had a meeting on immigration with Congress, and it was going fairly well. The representative from my district actually kind of threw a hurdle into the meeting, but essentially they came to a point of almost resolving the immigration, or getting very close to an agreement on resolving the immigration issue in America, which has been like, God, horrible for 8 years or so.
Yeah.
At the same time, so like right away, as soon as we have like a success, like, yeah, you guys did it, and Trump was right there. He was like, because he's good at leading meetings. He's good at saying, "You talk, now you talk." Like he's good at doing that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And so he like led this meeting. They started coming to some conclusions about immigration. They were making concessions. They were negotiating. I highly recommend looking this up. It's Trump negotiates immigration, right? The problem is the next day, like after all that success, he's like, yeah, but not any of these shithole countries, okay? Like not like Haiti or Africa. And like, sir, Africa is a bunch of countries. You heard what I said. No shithole countries. And like everybody's like, whoa.
This is the thing though. People like, I really don't trust the
why can't we have more people from Norway come over here?
Oh, no,
because when Africans come over here, they're not going to go back to their huts.
Yeah, he said, yeah, that's basically the whole quote. Yeah, we want people from Norway.
No, and honestly, I'm going to go on record saying this. I don't honestly think that Trump is a racist. I think that anybody who wasn't born with a silver spoon in their mouth and a golden one up their ass, just as he was, is not human.
They're subhuman.
We're on the record right now of people,
and I'm not on board with that train. Just for the record.
No. I have met Trumps, and I have spoken with Trumps, and I have gone to their little parties and celebrations, whatever the shit digs that they throw to glorify themselves. I know.
Okay, we're not saying the reptilian.
If you were up in the same environment, you'd be the same though. You'd be exactly the same if you were
saying it's conditioning. Yeah.
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm not incorruptible. No one is.
I don't think that
there are good and bad.
It is that environment. We are the way we are, and we think the way we are because of our parents and our families that we grew up in. And
yeah, but not all rich people are inherited wealth. There are many rich people, or there are many wealthy people on the planet who invented a product, or they made their own money. And they're getting
Yes, there are, and I'm not including them in this. I'm talking about the multi-generational money people.
Okay, got it. Old money.
Oh yeah, they care less for new money than they care about you.
It's true. They hate new money. They hate new money because it's a threat.
Yeah. Because how dare you try to assume the heights of godhood that we were born into?
That's our birthright.
Peasant.
Yep, that's pretty much the look. That's the look I get. Oh God. Last night I was the only white person, not only, one of 3 white people at a Native American charity event. So all night, like comedians, Haitian comedians, some Middle Eastern comedians, women, you know what I'm saying? Like mostly women on the docket were like basically, huh?
Women.
They were like, just basically like, fuck Whitey, kill Whitey, like the whole night, right? Oh, and I'm laughing, I'm getting it, like, because it's you like not pander, it's kind of like pandering, but you like try to gauge your audience and you try to do something that the audience is going to laugh at, right?
Yeah.
And I had to get up there and just be the elephant in the room, kind of, and be like, "Yep, I'm the white guy, I'm horrible," or that's what my foster parents told me. Try to break it down. We live in a world that is very much not as it seems, or not as it's proposed to be by the powers that are, right? And so a lot of I think Chuck has a good point of viewing people who in the way that they view us. So if ultra rich people or generational wealth views the masses, or the herd as they call us, right, the beast, right, as something to be controlled or manipulated, then we should look at
the sheeple.
Or sheeple, yeah, exactly, the sheeple, right?
And And to a great extent, and in a particular way, they're absolutely correct about that.
Yeah, I've often thought the same thing. I don't have much faith in democracy, to be honest, because I don't trust that the average layman understands the full extent of what they're voting for, what the consequences of their actions are. Like they don't get it. They'll vote emotionally a lot of the times. It'll be almost like a reality TV show where they'll like, oh well, let's vote on this guy because we like his personality, and it's like a game show almost to them. They don't realize that this is the future, and there's no long-term strategy can come from that, because it just swings one way, it swings the other way, and then nothing gets done. And like going back to the democracy 3 sort of thing, like it's so difficult to get any real change put into action because of those sort of things, because a lot of the times, if you'll try and change the system, you need to do some sort of unsavory things to get there, and you'll upset like mass like groups of people, and then you're trying to like, you basically sat there like, look, I'm trying to do this for your best interest. Like you don't understand, like this is for your benefit. But then they start to rebel against it, and they'll start repealing things. So like everyone wants, well, unless you're like got some mental health issues or something, everyone wants the same thing in a general sense of they want a better world. They want an ideal sort of world. It's just that people have different ideas about how to get there. And I think rather than focusing on the differences we have, we should at least try and find like where we can agree with, like just start with what we can agree with, and then sort of build up from there, and then you get things done that way. Just see what what's the word, like bipartisan. You just see what what both sides can agree on, and then just move forward on that. And everything else, like if we can't agree, then just put it to one side and keep it as it is, and move forward with what we can agree with.
There are people out there who want to make a big deal about the little differences and use that to create conflict and strife and division.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, united we stand, people. You know, so anytime you get up there, you're like, oh, death to all the Muslims or whatever, man, you're dividing us. You're not bringing us together.
Yeah, there's got to be
you're contributing to the fall of mankind and Western civilization and the U.S. democracy and all of it, the financial system. It's all coming down, man. Just look at it. History will show you. You know, the problem with republics are that they're basically set up to support and promote corruption and greed.
Ideally, I think that, you know, again, ideally, in reality, that's different. But people in government are supposed to be there to administrate to the people and provide security for the nation, et cetera, right? These are all in their mandates, right, or their founding documents. What happens is the human nature, I mean, the cause of a lot of these problems in creating policy is that human nature tends to look at it as a on-off switch, or a matter of degrees between hot and cold, right? So if we have a problem, you know, if there's a fire, put water on it. Or if people are fucking whatever the problem is, right? Education's down. Let's not change the system of education. Let's dump more money into it. No, let's not dump money into it. And then the argument becomes, let's fund it or not, and not like the various degrees in which multiple aspects can solve a problem. So like, you know, we have I'm trying to think of a good issue right now, immigration, right? It's going to take various policies in place, all acting in coordination to solve this immigration problem without pissing off, let's say, a certain percentage of the population either way. You know, oh, there's new tests before we enter the country. God damn it, we don't have to do these tests. What? They have these tests and they can just enter our country? We don't want them to just be able to pass a test and enter our country. And so like both sides get pissed by this simple solution. So when you have like a very, not very vast, but when you have this complex problem, there will never be a simple solution. There's always going to be a complex series of solutions to that problem, to make it resolve.
You can't just dump money into it and expect things to all get better again. You can't just change one policy to make a complex problem any better.
That's where we're at, though. That's literally where we're at. Oh, we have crime. We better build a wall. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, it needs reform. Like, I think the education thing's a good example because the education system fails people in so many ways in that it generally just prepares people for work rather than teaching people how to learn and how to sort of manage their life and stuff. So like putting more money into a broken system already isn't very effective. So like it'd be so much better if they were to start restructuring things. And I'm not talking about completely restructuring society and changing how everything works. I'm saying that like actually tweaking things in a more positive way, just lots of various policy to get where we want to go. Like, I think that the best way to solve a problem is usually to start at the finish line and work your way backwards. Like if you think about doing a maze, like if you want to cheat, you'll start at the end and you'll work your way back to the beginning, and you'll
cheat.
Yeah, cheat quotes. Yeah, but yeah, that's the best way to solve any problem. Usually, you start at what you want to accomplish, have a clear goal of what you want to accomplish, and then work your way back to the present, and then you'll have a clear line to the finish line. And if we can all agree on what the finish line is, then we can work our way backwards to a proper solution. But people are so divided now that actually getting people to talk at all is nigh impossible, because everyone's just at each other's throat, and they're hooked up on this cult of personality, and well, you insulted this guy and we're going to insult this guy, and it's irrelevant. We should just be focusing on the sort of world that we want to leave to our children, basically. We should be, I don't want to leave this world a worse place than what I started off at. I want it to be a better place than I want it to be better than how I got here, to improve it, not just to leave it in ruin and then just be like, well, I'm checking out now, so it's not my problem anymore.
Right.
Good luck.
This is my stop.
It's like, I seen a documentary not too long ago on the Amazon rainforest. It used to be a regular like forest. What made it what it is today was that the indigenous people got their food from the jungle, right? Or from the woods. So that each year they would plant more and more trees. They would gather up all the, like pine cones, of course, not pine trees, but you get the point. And they would plant new trees every year.
Yeah.
To expand the wooded areas, and it grew and grew and grew into what you see today. Same thing here in Oklahoma, while we have all the grasslands and crap, the Indians would burn it off. Made it easier to hunt the buffalo.
And fire, like controlled fires and stuff like that are
see,
really good.
We don't do that kind of stuff today. Today, we just want to go in and rape the land and burn it and leave it for once it's
they don't replant
anything.
Which it's kind of stupid as well, because like baby trees produce more oxygen than older trees, so it's not necessarily a bad thing to cut down forests, like as long as you're replacing them with like younger trees, because they're going to be producing more oxygen anyway. It's better for the environment to have younger trees than to have older ones, but we're not really doing that.
Yeah, well, it's just environmental responsibility.
Yeah, we should be responsible to the environment that we're in, because
that's one of the things I've always loved about the Wiccan religion, was that their worship of nature and the environment.
Yeah,
respect for the mother.
Yeah, it's commendable. Good old druids. Shout out to all the druids out there watching.
If there's any left.
Hey, Wiccans and pagans everywhere.
Yeah, there's Wiccans and pagans in America, thick.
Yeah, the Wiccan thing, that's like a new agey type thing, and they've
Yeah.
put like, different spins on it. And like,
Well,
if you went back to the Druids and said, "Hey guys, we've got this threefold law, and if you do anything for yourself," and they'll laugh you off the face of the planet. Like, what? You can't do magic for your own benefit? What? So you need to do some mental gymnastics and pretend you're doing it for someone else when actually you're benefiting? Like, get out of here, dude! Like, no, just stop this new agey crap. Like, Jesus Christ. No, I don't like. I have respect for the old school pagans and druids, but as far as it comes to like the new agey Wiccans and oh yeah, man, and all the hippie crap, like, nah, I find it a joke.
Crystal waivers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to each their own, though. I mean, you know, there are people who get involved with that simply because it restrains them from using it for their own benefit.
There you go.
You know, because they
really
really want to do something positive, and those teachings in line with.
I don't think they're being honest with themselves.
You know, they don't want to be or use it. Well,
but then it's toxic.
You're going to get something out of it on some level, no matter what you do. Everything you do, you're getting something out of.
The common ground is
from it in some fashion.
The common ground is environmental respect, or respect for the environment, though, amongst all those nature religions, regardless of their prohibitions against certain magics or whatnot. Kids, if you want to use magic, all you have to do is tell the universe what you want.
Yeah,
basically,
and then do it.
Basically, the method you use to communicate with the universe.
Yeah, you could do it silently or say it out loud or burn some sage, whatever you want to do, kids. Just remember, you don't need a third person. Like, you don't need a person in between you and the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, no necesito for priests.
You can. It's one of those, like, I can open the door, but you need to walk through it, or you can take a horse to water, but they need to drink. Like, there'll be plenty of opportunities that fly by it every single day, every hour. There'll be opportunities constantly flying by it, and if you actually start paying attention to those opportunities, then you need to jump on them and seize them. Like this was the biggest complaint that people had with that book, The Secret, because it was like, oh well, just with positive thinking, everything will magically sort of fix itself, and they seem to have left out the take action part, or they didn't put enough emphasis on take action. Like, that's one of the biggest things, is that to interact with this world at all, you need to take action. That's how things work. Like, you can have these opportunities come up, you can and having a clear goal and being and sort of visualizing what you want. That's really positive stuff. Like, to have a goal, to obsess about it and stuff, that's really a positive thing to do. But unless you're putting things into action, unless you're actually doing something that with the idea, it's useless. So
The Secret is great if you use it to fuel action.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then you have the keys to success right there. Read The Secret, children, and use it to drive your action toward what you want.
Yeah, the action is probably the most important part, and it's a part that I left out for a long time, and it wasn't through any delusion. It was more through laziness and being hesitant to change the sort of life that I had. A part of me really didn't want to let go of what I already had. Like, I had an idea of where I wanted to go, but a part of me still sort of clung to what I already had, like the comfort of mediocrity. Like, there's a comfort in what you find familiar, even if what you find familiar is really defective and really sort of toxic. You'll tend to fall back to it because it's what you're used to. It's why people sort of, if you grew up in an abusive environment, your default ends up being an abusive environment. So you end up getting with abusive people, hanging around abusive people, because in a perverse sort of way, that's your comfort zone, and sort of leaving that makes you feel sort of uncomfortable. It sort of throws you into the chaos of the unknown. So you just need to brave it, I guess, and put on your hat and venture into the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's essential.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I've always felt that life is nothing more than experiences.
Mm.
So you can either experience sitting around doing nothing with yourself, or you can take these new experiences that come along and go off and do something that you would have never otherwise done.
Mm-hmm.
I went and lived in Canada for 3 years, loved it. Seattle, Washington, spent some time there, loved it. When all these places did various things. I've worked in factories and pouring cement, and laboratory technician and network technician, what the hell ever, And I've never regretted any of it.
I like to think of life as...
I've met great people. I've expanded my perception of the world and who I am as a person.
Mm.
I've had a lot of fun, had up times, down times, just like everyone else. But I highly recommend it, man. Get out, see the world, experience things, do.
I like to think of it as making a movie for yourself, like just try and live a life that you'd want to watch back. So imagine that you're just in a movie and you're the star or something, and you want to make something that's entertaining for when you're an old man and you're sort of sat in a chair and all you've got is the brain food of all your memories. You want to make something that's entertaining to run through, like, oh yeah, I did that thing and I did this thing, and it's like making a movie or living in a game or something. You want to make it entertaining for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because then otherwise you don't want to just sit around and watch someone just mind-numbingly being bored or just smoking them.
Or lots of people live vicariously, like the way they keep a lot of the way they keep a lot of the sheep, I guess we can use that term, right?
Yeah.
Going is by providing these facade lives. Like they watch the, God, I'm hesitant to say their fucking names. The demon bitches will swarm in my sleep, but the Kardashians, like they watch these Kardashians.
Yeah.
And they experience that life through the television or the screen, right? And then they go about their
mediocre
life, feeling less about it too, like feeling like it's less of a life than this jewel encrusted life they're being sold. And so they have like this stress, like constant stress of, oh my God, why am I not there? Why am I not them? Right? When really we're always here, like we're always where we're supposed to be anyways. So if people viewed it more like they're on the Truman Show, like you were saying, or that this is their game, this is their chance to play one life only, one quarter, or YOLO, or some shit like that, right? Or I like to look at it as like a simulation where there is no actual quote unquote goal. Oh, hey, check this out.
Yeah, you make your own goal.
You make your own goal. Hey, that's the light, everybody. So that's the end of the episode.